for tuning in to the only station giving you double the information and inspiration, WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte. This is Marriage Matters, and I'm your host, the Marriage Coach. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. for tips and advice on all matters of marriage. Be sure to like us on Facebook by searching for Marriage Matters-WGIV so that you can stay abreast of topics, ask questions, or comment during our interactive segment of Marriage Matters. Also, check out our website at www.ittakes2marriagecoaching.com for more information on our services. Our show sponsor for this show is Shoe Flies. Shoe Flies is a shoe accessory that makes tying your shoe a quick and easy process. But did you know that thousands of families will not be able to afford shoes for their students this year? The purchase of new shoes is one of the single most expensive back-to-school items. Shoe Flies is partnering with It Takes Two Marriage Coaching, IMAC Design and Stone Fabrication, and the law office of Victor H. Wyatt in a back-to-school shoe drive to make a difference for low-income families, homeless families, and foster youth. We believe that every child should feel confident and ready for the new school year, which is why we want to place your lightly used or brand new shoes in the hands of a child who needs them. Find out how you can help by visiting their website at shoeflies.com. That's www.shoefliez.com. Not tying your shoes will never look so good. Stay so tight and be so easy. Today is going to be a special show. For the first time, we're going to do a question and answer session called Ask the Coach. For the last few days, we have been soliciting your questions and you have been anticipating your answers. Today, you will get the chance to hear my professional opinion on marriage, relationships, engagements, sex, blended families, and much more. All right, we're going to go on and get started with our first question for today. All of these questions were sent in anonymously so that we are not going to share anyone's private names or information. But this question was one that was emailed to us. How long is too long to wait for someone to propose to you? That's a good question. I'm going to say this. I don't think there's any real set amount of time. However, we believe that when a man determines that he is ready to be married, he will not procrastinate in the process. My question for you would be, how have you talked about marriage? Did you all discuss a time frame? Do you know, did you all determine if there's going to be a ring purchase? If so, has a ring been purchased? We offer a service with It Takes Two called While You're Waiting for single women preparing for marriage. And one of the things that I learned through that service is that a lot of women are dating men and vice versa, men dating women, and they are sort of anticipating this marriage that's never been discussed or never been talked about. So really, I think the best way to answer that question is for you and your mate to communicate. There's got to be discussion about if you want to marry. If so, what will that look like and what time frame are we talking about? I mean, some folks say, yeah, I know I want to get married, but they're talking about, just before they die. They want to make that commitment, but yeah, years from now, right now, I'm just okay with, being the girlfriend, being the boyfriend. And then for other folks, when they say they're wanting to get married, they're talking about it in the next year or so. And so that's why it's so important for us to have that dialogue and that communication. So to answer that question, it's really an answer that you can only give because you're going to be the determining factor of how long you're willing to wait. But I will say that definitely have that conversation with your mate. Find out what their goals are. Find out if you all share that same goal. And if you do, set a timeline together. Set some goals together. Decide that, if you both decide marriage is something that you're wanting, you can say, we know we want to be married in the next 3 years. And then you start doing the things that you need to do to prepare for those 3 years to happen. And you might start talking about finances together, maybe meet up with a literacy coach or somebody that can kind of guide you through sharing money and how does that look. Maybe you want to reach out for some premarital counseling. Look into an agency or a therapist that can give you some guidance on things you need to do as a couple to prepare yourself for marriage. So I'm going to put that ball back in your court by saying definitely communicate with your mate and finding out what the two of you would have, what your goals are and how they sort of align with each other. Okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue with the questions that you want answers to. You're listening to Marriage Matters, and I'm your host, the Marriage Coach. You're tuned in to WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte.
Hey, somebody about to have a baby to this one. Yeah, I think you need to go and grab your baby. Ooh. See, I want to love you in every way. Touch you, caress you, let you do the same. If I don't do it the way that you like, then please let me know. Girl, I guarantee that your only complaint will be when I'm not around to do it again. So if you're a freak, baby, don't be ashamed. You gotta let it show, girl. Look at the way you calling out my name, and I'm loving the way you taking it from me. I'm holding your hips, you biting your lips, you pulling me closer, turning you over, kissing on me, telling me to go deep, and then I hear you scream. I know what time it is, so I savor the moment and seal it with a kiss. I want you to get yours before I get mine, so you gotta let me know. As soon as we finish, we hop up in the tub. Your body's like a bad habit, can never get enough. We been getting like some animals. Now I'm ripping, stripping off all your clothes. Pulling me closer, turning you over, kissing on me, telling me to go deep, and then I hear you scream. This is how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. Baby, give it all to me, girl. Now take it, take it. Be careful what you explore.
Welcome back to WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte. And those streaming live through the free TuneIn Radio app, you're listening to Marriage Matters, and I'm your host, the Marriage Coach. If you're just tuning in, this is our Ask the Coach segment, where we are discussing all the hot topics and all the things you want to know about relationships. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. for tips and advice on all matters of marriage. Be sure to like us on Facebook by searching for Marriage Matters-WGIV so that you can stay abreast of topics, ask questions, or comment during our interactive segment of Marriage Matters. Also, be sure to check us out at the website at www.ittakes2marriagecoaching.com for more information on our services. All right, we actually have a caller that has called in. We've got Brandon on the line from Raleigh, North Carolina. Brandon, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for calling in today. What's your question for me?
All right, Marriage Coach. I was calling in today to see if you could touch on the topic of trust and basically, offer some tips and some things that would help rebuild a relationship or a marriage with, possible trust issues and making it, a nice, strong, trustworthy relationship. Any way you can help us.
Awesome. That's a really good question, and I think it's super important because a lot of times in marriages we've hurt each other, we've let each other down in some capacity, and the trust is, I'm not going to say usually 100% lost, but we tend to lose some of the trust that we have in our marriage. And when that happens for us, a lot of times we're willing to forgive and we're willing to move forward, but the trust is never really rebuilt. So we're moving along in the marriage, but sometimes one of the partners or maybe both of the partners still doesn't really trust the other partner. And so let me start by saying, and this may not be a popular answer, Mr. Brandon, but let me start by saying this. Trust is not earned. Trust is given. So the first step to any situation where you're in a marriage and trust has been lost or the trust has been wavered in some form or fashion, the first step is to make the conscious decision to choose to give your trust to the other person. You're giving it. Because if you really think about it, there's really nothing that the other person can do you would have to have a checklist of things that person's going to do to earn your trust back. And it would take them forever to get to that place. You'd be expecting years of stuff that has to occur in order for trust to come back in your marriage if it was based on them earning it back. And so in marriages, we give trust. And so you've got to make the conscious decision first to give the trust back to your spouse. Once you've made that decision to give it back to your spouse, that spouse is responsible now for not misusing your trust. That spouse is now responsible for making sure that they are being trustworthy and using your trust in the way that they should. Part of that can be, keeping all lines of communication open. I am a huge proponent of having a transparent relationship. And what I mean by that, and I kind of spoke on it a little bit last week when we were talking about the 10 things to avoid in a marriage. And one of those things was keeping secrets. And so a part of that transparency is having the ability to live an open life marriage. So basically to have no secrets between the two of you, meaning that if we're both sitting on the couch, I don't take my phone with me every time I get up. The phone stays right there on that table. Unless I'm doing something on it, I'm expecting a phone call. Of course, I'm not saying be odd or weird around your spouse. But if there's no reason to take that phone with you, leave it there. Don't give your spouse any reason to think that you're up to something. Keeping passcodes off of things. So, for example, I don't have codes on my cell phone, and neither does my husband. That's one thing that we agreed upon. Now, every blue moon, we go back and wish we had not agreed upon that because we got little ones in the house who like to go through our phones, and we'll find selfies and recordings of them on our phones. But outside of the kids, try to keep your phones open to your spouse. Don't put passcodes on those. Take the passcodes off your laptops, off your tablets. If you've got social media or things that you use that's sort of private, that's really just requires one person to do, allow your spouse to know what that passcode is. Keep those lines of communication open. Keep that life transparent so that your spouse doesn't have any reason to believe that there could be possibly something going on. That would be the first steps, in my opinion, to rebuilding that trust. Like I said, giving the trust first, because it's not the person earning it, it's you giving it. And then that spouse that's been given that trust, you're going to treat that with the utmost respect. Treat that trust like it's $1 million. And so you just want to make sure you're living a transparent life. There's no secrets between the two of you all. You share everything. And I do literally mean everything. I tell my husband, if I'm leaving from work and I decide that I'm going to make a stop at a girlfriend's house and I know I'm going to be over there for a couple hours. Now, there's no reason for me to do that. I'm not out cheating. I'm not out with another guy. It's not that he necessarily expects that I call him with my every move, but that's just something that I do as a wife because I just always want to keep a transparent life, and I don't want him to ever think that I'm doing something that I'm not really. And so I'll let him know, hey, babe, I'm going to make a stop at Crystal's house and I'm going to be hanging out over there for a few hours. Just wanted to let you know where I am. So, keeping those lines of communication open, never any secrets, answer your phone, don't purposefully avoid your spouse and have them thinking that something's going on that's not. But definitely living that transparent life, I think, is probably the biggest indicator that you can do to rebuilding that trust.
Gotcha.
Did that answer your question, Brandon?
Yeah, that's a ton of information. I'm sure it'll be useful. And now you got me going wanting to learn more. So quick question for you. Is there any way, or how does that go? How can I go about booking sessions, my wife and I booking sessions with you for further consultation, or even, sitting down to see if we would need these sessions? Where do we start? How do we go about that?
Thank you for asking that question. Absolutely. We, this is Marriage Matters, of course, my radio segment, but It Takes Two Marriage Coaching is what I do full time. And so definitely check out our website. It's www.itttakes2marriagecoaching.com for a list of all of our services. You'll see a contact us link on there. That'll give you a way that you can shoot me an email and kind of fill me in on some things that's going on. I'll send you a free assessment that you'll complete that'll help me determine what your marriage needs are, and we can absolutely help you. We offer everything from individual sessions with couples to group marriage retreats. So definitely start there. Check out our website. Also, feel free, if you're not an email guy, feel free to give us a call at the office at 704-449-6542. We'd love to help you.
All right, well, thank you so much. I'm excited, and I'll actually have my wife and I get on it as soon as possible. I'm not the email guy, but we'll be sure to call you, okay?
All right, sounds good, and thank you for calling in, Brandon. Have a great day.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, so we're going to go on with the remainder of our questions that we've got here. So this question was one that was posted to our Facebook page. This question says, my wife is frequently not interested in sex. She complains all the time that we have no intimacy. However, when I try to have sex with her, she seems totally uninterested. So, listeners, this is a question that we get all the time. We get a lot of sexual questions about, the lack of intimacy, the lack of sex in marriages. Let me just start here. I could answer this question for hours, but I'm just going to start here and leave it at this. In order to have the sex life that you want in your marriage, there's 2 steps that have to occur before sex ever becomes good, or before sex ever becomes what you would really want it to be. And those 2 steps are intimacy and romance. In It Takes Two Marriage Coaching, we teach what we call the IRS. Intimacy plus romance equals sex. And it's just like, you're working all year long, and then at the end of the year, you've got to pay those taxes, or you're paying your taxes all year long, and at the end of the year, you might get a little benefit at the end of the year where you get to recoup some of those taxes that you paid in all year long. You get to kind of take out something that you've invested into the government system. And so view your sex life in the exact same way. View your sex life as a way that the more you invest intimacy and romance into your marriage, the more sex you will actually get to recoup at the end of that. That would be my first and probably easiest answer to give you, sir. Just making sure that you are, let me ask you these things. Are you investing time into your spouse? Are you doing things that are non-sexual with your spouse? Are you taking the time to just kind of sit and talk and laugh together? Do you have some foreplay throughout the day where it's just more of some intimate text messages, or I'm thinking about you email, or I can't wait to see you when I get home tonight, type of voicemail that you might leave. So all those things are sort of foreplay that will lead up to when you see your spouse at the end of that day. So definitely make sure that intimacy and romance is there, and I can guarantee you the sex will come. All right, so we've got another question that was, this question actually came to us through Facebook as well, through our Facebook page. This question says, when dealing with blended families, how do you deal with the baby mama drama? The listener says, for example, if you are the wife and you are dealing with drama with your husband and his biological child and or children, how do you deal with the baby mama? How do you deal with the drama that other person brings into your marriage? All right, y'all. So this is a tricky question, and it's a challenging situation. There's really no one way to answer the question, or really no right answer for it. But what I would say is that the way to sort of eliminate or kind of keep at bay that baby mama drama, so to speak, is that it's got to start with the individual that's that is the reason for the blendedness. So, for example, if it's a husband and wife in the marriage and the husband has the child that's outside of the wife, he is the reason for the blendedness. So it's the person that has the child outside of the marriage that's has to kind of be the peacemaker and the responsible party of making sure peace stays within the marriage. So, yeah, there might be drama, baby mama drama, baby daddy drama outside of one person in the marriage, but that should stay outside of your marriage. It should never come into the marriage, and it should definitely be something that's kept at bay. But the person that's responsible for keeping that at bay is the person that's the blendedness, the person that's responsible for that blendedness. The spouse has to do a great job of kind of working toward keeping the peace. In a perfect world, all three adults would communicate and have open communication about that child and the responsibility of parenting. But we know that this is not a perfect world, and a lot of times it doesn't happen that way. So I would say, as a first step for you, work at bridging the gap. And that bridge between the gap has to, again, be that party that's responsible for the blendedness. Maybe you can try to work out a situation where the three of you all can sit down and kind of discuss the rules and the guidelines of how your relationships are going to look in reference to those children. But definitely keep that third person out of your marriage. The conversation should strictly just be in relation to those children that you guys are sharing. So I would definitely say start there. All right, we're going to take a short break, and after the break, we'll continue our Ask the Coach segment. You're listening to Marriage Matters, and I'm your host, The Marriage Coach. You're tuned in to WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte.
I hear many people say, I want him or her to be this or that, but what are they doing to make it happen? In a marital relationship, you can make or break your mate. You can enhance and better your relationship, or you can tear it down and slice your own hand. Some people are so mean that it brings out the beast in their mate. I've met some people who say, I want a Christian mate, and they live like somebody paid them to be the devil themselves. Now tell me, what can you do for a Christian mate? Would you enhance their Christianity or make them a devil by your actions? Would you tear them down or make them become what you are expecting them to be? Look, if you want a Christian mate, if you want the perfect person of whom there are none, it is only wise you become what you want others to be first. This is an excerpt from The Maximized Relationship, Creating the Rhythm in Your Relationship by Donna Ritchie. Buy it today at Amazon.com.
Massage therapy was created to soothe the senses and enhance wellness. Massage is one of the oldest healing arts. If you're looking for a quick escape from reality, look no further. Tequila Douglas is a professional, well-experienced massage therapist with exceptional skills and healing abilities in the art of massage. Miss Douglas's massage treatments are designed to nurture the mind and body. Call today to book your massage getaway. 704-608-7815. That's 704-608-7815.
Welcome back to WDRB Media and WGIV, the soul of Charlotte, and those streaming live through the free TuneIn Radio app. You're listening to Marriage Matters, and I'm your host, The Marriage Coach. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. for tips and advice on all matters of marriage. Be sure to like us on Facebook by searching for Marriage Matters WGIV so that you can stay abreast of topics, ask questions, or comments during our interactive segment of Marriage Matters. Also, check out our website at www.ittakes2marriagecoaching.com for more information on our services. If you're just tuning in, we've been answering questions from you, our listeners. For the past few days, you all have been emailing, hitting us up on Facebook, and our website with your questions. So let's dive right back in and see if we can get another question answered before we wrap up this evening. All right, now this question was actually asked of me in person, and it was actually asked yesterday. I thought I answered it for the individual yesterday and wrote it down and thought it would be a great question for me to answer on the air in case anyone else out there is experiencing something similar or the exact same thing. So the question was, is it possible to fall out of love with your spouse? So that's a heavy, heavy question. And the short answer is yes. The long answer is yes, but you can fall back in love with your spouse. At It Takes Two Marriage Coaching, we believe that couples actually fall in and out of love over the entirety of their marriage. We think that marriage is very fluid and it's a journey that never ends. To me, that's the beauty of marriage. It's the lifetime journey that allows us a lifetime to get this thing right. When you have those times where you feel like you don't love your spouse or you feel like the love is non-existent, those are the times that you really have to work extra hard to stick with it. Begin to do things that remind you of why you fell out of love with, or why you fell in love with your spouse in the first place. For example, attend a marriage retreat. And that will kind of help you guys reconnect with each other. And we offer those through It Takes Two Marriage Coaching. Increase your date nights. Increase your intimacy. Use words of affirmation to affirm each other. And remember that marriage is more about the commitment than it is about the love. Now, I know I just said a statement that folks are probably like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that. That might have made you gasp. But let me put it this way to you. You don't want a marriage that does not have love in it. But if you had to choose between love or commitment, if you absolutely had to make that choice, choose commitment. The commitment is what will get you through when you feel like the love is lost or when you feel like the love is no longer there for your spouse. Because we got to remember, feelings are fickle. And, love is a feeling. It's an emotion. It's something that we feel for the other person. And there are going to become times in your marriage where you just don't feel like you love that person anymore, or you just don't feel like working through it. You just don't feel like pushing through. You just don't feel like, that you are excited about this person in the same way you were when you originally got together. But that commitment is the action word that's actually going to keep you with that person regardless of how you feel about that person. So when you're having these moments, when you have those times in your marriage where you feel like, I just don't know if I love him anymore. I just don't know if I love her anymore. I don't know if I feel the same way about her as I did when I married her. Well, guess what? You might not. In that moment, that day, you might not feel like you still love that person in the same way. But remember that those feelings are fickle and they're just feelings that can change just as sure as the seasons change. Your feelings can change. Try to stay focused on that commitment to your spouse because that commitment is there regardless of the feeling. So the answer to that question is absolutely you can fall out of love with your spouse. But does that mean when you feel like you've fallen out of love, does that mean it's time for a divorce, or does that mean it's time to separate? Absolutely not. I encourage you to stick in it, stick with it, even through those feelings that might tell you you're not really feeling the way you did when you first got together. Endure through those feelings and focus on the commitment that you've made to your spouse, because that commitment is going to hold you over until you fall back in love with your spouse. I'm hoping that helps someone out there. The young lady that asked me that question yesterday was really perplexed about it, and I'm pretty sure there are other people that have felt that way or might be feeling that way right now. So I'm hoping that question helped you out. Look, we got through several questions today. That was a really fun segment for me. We are looking forward to doing even more Ask the Coach questions. So make sure that you stay tuned in with us, that you stay affiliated with us through our Facebook pages and our website so that you can stay abreast of topics and what's going on. Join us next week as we continue in our discussions. Next week, we actually have an author that's going to be in the studio with us. Thank you for tuning in today, and continue to tune in every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Please remember to connect with me by going to Facebook and searching for Marriage Matters WGIV. Like our page to stay abreast topics, comment, and ask us questions. Did you enjoy today's show? If you did, tell someone about it. Show us some love on our Facebook page or via email at marriagematterswgiv@gmail.com. Also, if you're interested in being a guest on the show or you want to advertise at a great low rate, contact me. Reach me at 704-449-6542. I'm your host, The Marriage Coach, and you've been listening to Marriage Matters on WDRB Media and WGIV, the Soul of Charlotte.